2026 Indian Chief Vintage. The American legend just got even more dangerous. Stop scrolling, because the motorcycle you are looking at might be one of the most attention-grabbing American cruisers of 2026. This is the 2026 Indian Chief Vintage. An Indian motorcycle has taken one of its most recognizable heritage designs and pushed it into a new era without destroying the soul that made the Chief famous. At first glance, you might think this motorcycle has escaped from another decade. The enormous valance fenders, wire-spoke wheels, floating solo seat, vintage handlebars, floorboards, and illuminated Indian headdress immediately create that unmistakable classic silhouette. But underneath that old-school appearance is a seriously modern machine. The 2026 Chief Vintage uses Indian's 1,890cc Thunderstroke 116 air-cooled V-twin, producing 120 pound-feet of peak torque at 2,900 revolutions per minute. And that combination is exactly what makes this motorcycle so fascinating. It looks like something that belongs in a legendary motorcycle museum, yet it is built to dominate today's roads. Indian lists the starting US MSRP at $19,999, putting this machine directly into serious premium cruiser territory. But the real question isn't whether the Chief Vintage looks expensive. The real question is whether this beautiful throwback can deliver the kind of riding experience that makes you forget every other cruiser on the road. Let's start with the design, because this is where the 2026 Indian Chief Vintage immediately separates itself from almost everything else. Modern motorcycles often seem obsessed with looking aggressive, futuristic, or minimalist. The Chief Vintage goes completely in the opposite direction. It embraces curves, chrome, traditional proportions, and details that deliberately connect it to Indian motorcycle history. The flowing valanced fenders are impossible to miss, while the wire wheels reinforce that unmistakable heritage appearance. Indian says these design cues were inspired by the motorcycles of the 1940s, but the company isn't simply copying an old machine. The idea is to take those historic visual signatures and combine them with modern handling, suspension, braking, electronics, and comfort. Then there is the illuminated Indian motorcycle headdress at the front, one of the brand's most recognizable visual signatures since 1947. Imagine riding through a city at night and seeing that illuminated symbol approaching through traffic. It doesn't need an enormous fairing or complicated bodywork to announce what it is. The silhouette does the talking. And that may be the biggest reason the Chief Vintage is such a dangerous temptation for motorcycle enthusiasts. It doesn't look like it is desperately trying to be modern. It looks confident enough to celebrate what motorcycles used to be. But don't let that vintage appearance fool you into thinking this is some slow-moving nostalgia machine. Underneath the traditional bodywork sits the Thunderstroke 116, an air-cooled V-twin displacing 116 cubic inches, or 1,890 cc. The official specifications list 120 pound-feet of peak torque, arriving at just 2,900 revolutions per minute. That torque figure tells you almost everything about the character of this motorcycle. The Chief Vintage isn't designed around screaming toward the red line or pretending to be a sport bike. It is about effortless, muscular acceleration and that deep, substantial feeling you expect from a large American 5-twin. Twist the throttle and the motorcycle doesn't need to make a dramatic announcement before moving. The torque is there where a cruiser rider actually wants it. Whether you're leaving a stoplight, overtaking on the highway, or simply rolling through a long, sweeping road, the engine is designed to deliver that relaxed but powerful sensation. And because this is a motorcycle built around character, the engine itself becomes part of the experience. You aren't simply operating transportation. You're sitting on a large mechanical personality that feels deliberately different from the high-revving machines dominating other parts of the motorcycle world. Now here's where the 2026 Chief Vintage becomes even more interesting. The technology hiding behind that classic exterior. Indian has equipped the motorcycle with 3 selectable ride modes: Tour, Standard, and Sport, giving riders different ways to experience the same Thunderstroke engine. It also includes ABS, keyless ignition, cruise control, rear cylinder deactivation, full LED lighting, and a USB charging port. Think about that combination for a moment. You can have the visual language of a motorcycle from the golden age of American cruising, while simultaneously having electronic systems that would have seemed like science fiction to riders from that era. The rear cylinder deactivation is particularly interesting, because it can help reduce heat and improve the experience during certain low-load situations. Cruise control, meanwhile, makes the Chief Vintage much more attractive for long-distance highway riding. And then there's the factory-installed 4-inch ride command display, which provides features including GPS navigation, Bluetooth connectivity, ride information, and more. This is the kind of motorcycle that creates a strange contradiction. The moment you stop looking at it, it feels old school. The moment you examine what it can actually do, it becomes obvious that this is very much a modern machine. Comfort is another area where Indian appears to understand exactly why people buy motorcycles like this. The Chief Vintage comes with a floating-style solo seat and vintage handlebars, while floorboards give riders room to change their foot position during longer rides. Indian describes the seat as combining an old-fashioned silhouette with modern ergonomics, designed around an upright, relaxed riding position. The motorcycle has a 27-inch seat height, which should make its enormous visual presence less intimidating for many riders than the dimensions might suggest. And yes, this is a large motorcycle. The official running order weight is listed at 721 pounds, or approximately 327 kilograms, while the wheelbase measures 64 inches. So this isn't something you casually throw around like a lightweight naked bike. But that's also part of the appeal. The size, low stance, wide tires, and long wheelbase contribute to that planted, commanding cruiser character. The Chief Vintage is meant to make every mile feel substantial. It is the kind of machine that encourages you to slow down, settle into the seat, and actually experience the road, instead of treating the ride as a race to the destination. And then there is the chassis, which proves that the vintage styling isn't an excuse to ignore modern engineering. The Chief Vintage uses a 46mm telescopic front fork with 5.2 inches of travel and dual rear shocks providing 3.0 inches of travel. At the front is a 298mm floating brake rotor with a 4-piston caliper, while the rear receives a 298mm rotor with a 2-piston caliper. ABS is standard equipment. The wheels are 16-inch wire spoke units wrapped in Muscular Cruise Tech tires, with a 130/90ths B16 front and 150/80ths B16 rear. Those specifications reinforce what the Chief Vintage is trying to accomplish. This isn't simply a styling exercise. Indian has created a cruiser that uses traditional visual elements while giving the rider contemporary hardware underneath. Even the suspension and tire setup are designed to make the bike feel composed rather than merely decorative. And that matters, because a motorcycle can look incredible in a parking lot and still be disappointing once the road starts moving. The Chief Vintage appears designed to make sure the beauty continues when the wheels start turning. But perhaps the most exciting part of the 2026 model is the timing. Indian Motorcycle is celebrating its 125th anniversary, and the company has created a special Chief Vintage 125th Anniversary Edition alongside the standard Chief Vintage. That version starts at $24,999 US MSRP and takes the heritage theme even further. The Anniversary Edition receives a distinctive 125th Anniversary red, fading into black crystal paint scheme, special pinstriping, hand-applied details, premium leather elements, and individual numbering. Indian says only 250 units are available globally, making it a dramatically more exclusive proposition than the standard model. And this is where collectors are going to start paying attention. The standard Chief Vintage is already designed around nostalgia, but the anniversary model adds rarity to the equation. A limited production motorcycle tied directly to a manufacturer's You're buying a piece of a celebration that marks more than a century of Indian motorcycle history. Whether someone views that as collectible value or simply an excuse to own an exceptionally special motorcycle, the appeal is obvious. Now let's talk about the thing that could make the 2026 Chief Vintage one of the most addictive cruisers to watch on the road: presence. There are motorcycles that look fast, motorcycles that look expensive, and motorcycles that look technically advanced. The Chief Vintage looks important. That is a completely different sensation. The huge fenders, low stance, wire wheels, floating seat, vintage handlebars, and illuminated headdress give it an identity that doesn't disappear in a crowd. Indian itself describes the model as a true expression of the American cruiser, drawing directly from the original Chief's design language. And that's why this motorcycle could appeal to riders who don't necessarily care about having the newest looking machine. The Chief Vintage isn't chasing trends. It is deliberately building a visual connection between past and present. You could park it outside a modern cafe, next to a lineup of aggressive sport bikes, and it would still attract attention without needing neon graphics or an oversized exhaust. In fact, its restraint is what makes it dramatic. It says that you don't need to look futuristic to look extraordinary. Of course, there are trade-offs, and anyone considering a motorcycle this large should understand them. At 721 pounds in running order, the Chief Vintage is unquestionably a substantial machine. Its 4-gallon or 15.1-liter fuel capacity and massive 1,890cc engine make it far more focused on relaxed cruising than lightweight urban maneuverability. Storage also isn't standard on the motorcycle, although Indian offers optional accessories such as saddlebags, passenger equipment, highway bars, and windshields. So this isn't the motorcycle for someone looking for the cheapest, lightest, or simplest way to get from one side of town to the other. It is a motorcycle for someone who wants the ride itself to be the event. And that distinction is critical. The Chief Vintage isn't trying to compete with every category of motorcycle. It is deliberately aimed at riders who appreciate traditional American cruiser proportions, substantial torque, premium styling, long-distance comfort, and an enormous amount of road presence. Once you understand that mission, the motorcycle suddenly makes a lot more sense. So is the 2026 Indian Chief Vintage the ultimate modern American classic? After looking at the complete package, it is difficult to dismiss it. You get a 1,890cc Thunderstroke 116 engine, producing 120 pound-feet of torque, a 27-inch seat height, wire wheels, valenced fenders, an illuminated headdress, modern suspension and brakes, ABS, 3 ride modes, cruise control, keyless ignition, rear cylinder deactivation, LED lighting, and a 4-inch ride command display with navigation and connectivity features. And the standard model begins at $19,999 US MSRP, while the ultra-exclusive 125th Anniversary Edition starts at $24,999. But the numbers aren't really the reason this motorcycle matters. The reason is emotion. Indian has taken a design language born generations ago and refused to let it become irrelevant. The 2026 Chief Vintage doesn't pretend the past never happened. It celebrates it while quietly packing modern technology underneath. And that might be its biggest weapon. In a motorcycle market obsessed with being faster, sharper, lighter, and more futuristic, the Chief Vintage takes another route: be unforgettable. So if you had nearly $20,000 to spend on an American cruiser, would you choose the 2026 Chief Vintage, or would you spend the money on something more modern and aggressive? Drop your choice in the comments, because this is one motorcycle debate that could get seriously heated.